Hello, this is Deborah Dachinger with the Dare to Dream radio show, and welcome. Really great to have you here, and we have so much to talk about. How's your week been? Wow, what a week for me. Can't wait to share. A lot of exciting stuff. And we'll tell you at the very end how you can keep following us. Go to our website, deborahdachinger.com, and so forth. So first, let's just talk about what's the subject. What are we going to be talking about today? Well, it's how you can possibly have a wealthy, healthy, and courageous day. Sounds like a nice recipe to me. I'll bake that. And it's free of calories and carbs. Woo! So, Deepak Chopra, who we all know and love, said the possibility of stepping into a higher plane is quite real for everyone. It requires no force or effort or sacrifice. It involves little more than changing our ideas about what is normal. So let's talk about the bullet points of what it takes to be healthy, to be wealthy, to be courageous. First thing is, give yourself one small thing a day. Are you one of those who powers through the day? You're like a life warrior. You just keep going, you don't stop. Well, today that stops. So you give yourself something small. You may go, I don't know how, or I don't have the money, or whatever that is, just put that aside because it doesn't even have to cost something. You could pick a beautiful little flower, a rose, put it in a vase, and that could be enough. You can give yourself, here's the important thing to focus on. What feels good? What will feel good to you inside? Luxuries can be very small and wonderful, or a little larger than that. You could give yourself a compliment. You're a good person. You're a loyal person. You really show up for people. You're always on time. You're a great reader. You choose, compliment yourself. A relaxed bath. When's the last time you took a soothing bath? When's the last time you read a book? Okay, I don't mean like a little bit at the dentist's office. I mean really sat down and just enjoyed your book and got into it. How about your hobby? How about a manicure? Something that blesses you with this gift that feels abundant and delicious because, hey, you deserve it. Okay, so as we give, so we receive. As we receive, so we give. It's reciprocity. So what else are you going to do? Number 2Z. You are going to give something nice to somebody else. Woo-hoo. So give somebody a hug. Give somebody a kind word. Give somebody a compliment. Give someone you've been thinking about a phone call. Forget that email stuff, Facebook. Forget about it. Pick them up and on that telephone, do a one-on-one, mano-y-mano, wumano-y-wumano, and connect with them. Give somebody a gift. Be of service. Show some gratitude. Let somebody be lifted because they know that they matter and that you're glad that they're here. It's going to make you feel good too, so it's kind of like a second gift to you. So you got the first one, give yourself a gift. Second one, give something to somebody else. Third, listen to your intuition. Intuition is Latin for into you, yes? So people have asked me, I also get interviewed on other radio shows and so forth, and callers always call and say, well, how do you know it's your intuition? Well, first of all, you know it because it's kind. You know it because it's wise. And you know it because it's sort of like a feeling, a knowing, it just sort of appears, but there's something around it that feels like, pay attention, this is solid. Where'd that come from? Ooh, let's check that out. Pay attention because your intuition is your inner GPS. And I call that your God protection system. I coined that one. So your GPS is at work, tapping you on the shoulder with messages. And all you need to do is observe, be aware, be attentive, and hey, when they tap, listen. Listen. Practice. If you don't know how, just practice following small urges at first and see where they lead. And when you start to see, oh, that's magical. I was thinking I had to do this, but suddenly I heard so strongly to make a left, and then something. You'll meet someone you hadn't met, you'll end up someplace you needed to be, you'll avoid a terrible accident, something will happen of significance. When you start to see that, you'll know, then you can start trusting bigger and bigger. That's how you build your muscle with your intuition, because you want to play a much bigger game with your intuition, because your intuition will lead you to a bigger game. Really nurture that connection and enjoy the adventure. Fourth, you're going to allow yourself to do something that scares you. Okay, remember, fear is a monster in the closet. You've created the fear, you've created the monster, you've created the closet. we become convinced that this awful, terrible thing is going to befall us if we do X. And usually that X stands in the way of us and our goal, our intention, or a dream come true. So we want to push that fear out of the way because it's not serving us, it's stopping us. How do you do that? Face it. It's the only way. It really is. You got to do it directly and as quickly as possible. Because, it likes to fester and really, take power away from you and make sure you know that it's for real. Terrible things will happen if. So forget about your comfort level because we all kind of have a comfort level and the only way to get to the next level is to break through that to the other side, and the only way to break through that is to conquer some fears. So do it anyway, and I promise you will feel exhilarated because you know what? Your worst nightmare just doesn't come true. I've experienced that so many times. It's fabricated, this idea. It's like, you know how you hear to create a vision board, and a vision board is all these wonderful things you want to create? Well, fear has a nightmare board, and it creates these nightmares of what's going to happen if. Don't pay any attention to that. You keep with your vision board, and off you go. Face the monster in the closet. Now I'm going to give you a little, hopefully, inspirational story. I see a healer that I work with. She's much more than that, incredibly educated, bright, does so many things, but to keep it succinct, I will call her a healer. I work with her once a month. The last time I saw her, which was a week and a half ago, we were working on finances and my limit of finances. And so I have had stuff around finances and money and prosperity. And we got to a point in the conversation, because we've tried other things, that she said, "Are you willing to try anything?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Great. I want you to go to a busy street on a street corner, safe place, and I want you for 30 minutes to ask people for $20. And I was aghast and pissed. And I said, "What are you talking about? I'll die." And she said, "Did you hear what you just said?" I said, "Yes." I said, "I'll die." And she said, "Well, you won't die. And what's different about your life anyway? You need to do something to break that, to shift that, because you're having that issue anyway. Feel what it feels like as a woman to say to somebody, I need $20. I want to empower yourself to ask for the money you deserve." A lot more conversation, a lot more note-taking, so I was very clear on the assignment. And then I was filled with utter dread. And I was so upset about having to do it. It seemed like BS to me, and why would anybody do that anyway? But I trust her because she's done great things for me. I really was willing to do anything to get out of this current situation. And the last thing is, I knew there was fear. The only thing between me and doing it was fear. And what do I know about fear? You got to face it. You got to move through it quickly. So I didn't give it but 3 days till I found a very busy, safe place. And sure enough, 45 minutes, I walked up and down that street and looked at people and talked to them and said, "I need $25. Can I have $25? Now, I knew if I was going to get the money, I was going to give it to charity. But here's the point. I learned so much. I learned so much about energy, the energy coming from me and asking for it, and how, was it desperation? How did I meet people? The energy with other people towards me. I knew immediately how they were going to respond. The embarrassment sometimes people felt, the discomfort, some of the really weird remarks that people would say. I also have great, humble compassion for people who do that because that's how they get by. It's a big deal. And I had a really uncomfortable experience with somebody who said no and then came back and then asked me to follow him because he did have the money. When I realized he was going someplace in an alley, I said no. He waited for me when I didn't follow him and stayed in my safe place. He came back and said, "You wanted that money for free?" Yes, and I think your karma is so bad you better give it to me for free. Didn't say that, but that was the bubble over my head. Well, the final person who came by was a very tall black man, and he's the only person who spoke to me, and he asked me all sorts of questions. Why did I need the money? What was going on in my life? This man, well-dressed, etc., not rich, but I mean very properly dressed and clean, shared that he has had from time to collect money as well. So he was half here and half not, half lucid and half cuckoo. Half what he said made sense, half was like, huh? But it was fascinating, and I had been so brought to my knees by the experience. I didn't have $25, and by the time I had the conversation with him, I actually, not the ugly cry, but I did start having tears roll down my face, because it had been quite an extreme experience for me to do that. So we had this conversation back and forth, and like I said, some of it made sense and some of it didn't, and at the very end he said, well, it's time for me to go. We shook hands, and then he said, anyway, it's not about the money, you know that, right? And I said, no, I don't. He said, well, it's not about the money. It's about love. And he turned and walked away. So 45 minutes later, I had an angel visit me to give me that message that it's not about money, it's about energy, it's about love, it's about being loved, it's about loving myself, allowing love to come in. That's a whole new reciprocity on an energetic level, knowing your worth through love, that what you give is a gift of love, of service. That was so profound. I was still shaken for 24 hours from the experience. I did share it with the healer, and then the next day I was interviewed on the radio. And when I was interviewed on the radio, had a wonderful show, and towards the end, the host was saying something about doing anything to get somewhere, to get through something. And I said, oh my God, I have this amazing story. It just happened yesterday. So I told the story on the radio. We went on, had great conversation, and took calls and so forth. I got off that radio show, and I went to my computer to handle some things, and I found an email from PayPal. I clicked on it. It said, you have $20. And I went inside PayPal. Somebody anonymous said, God loves you, and so do I. Here's $20. You're worth it. Deal with it. So I had my $20. And my healer said, more grace is going to come now because of what you've done. And I have to tell you, I will share more when things are firm, but amazing things have started to happen. So I faced my fear, and the shift has been just wild to experience. So I really want to encourage you. Forget about what you think about that story. I could never, how could she? But forget your judgments. It doesn't matter. The exercise worked, and it was very powerful and profound. So what are you willing to do to get what you want? The last thing, 5, be present, breathe, be here, now. Are you breathing? Good. Where else is there to be? Is your head in the past? Is your head in the future? Or can you choose to be right in the environment where you are, see things, take it in, appreciate, enjoy, be here now with all the insecurity of life? Because life contains a lot of insecurity. In fact, embrace insecurity and uncertainty, because that is how life is. Enjoy the perfection of the here and the now, the knowingness, and the complete letting go of anything else, except right here and right now. Osho wrote, the only difference is the coward listens to his fears and follows them, and the courageous person puts them aside and goes ahead. The courageous person goes into the unknown in spite of all the fears. You know, the word courage actually comes from the Latin root word cor, which means heart. So to be courageous means to live with heart. At every moment, the future is becoming the present, and the present is becoming the past. Take your entire life to no effort. No struggle, no trying, no effort. Pure simplicity. Easy, effortless, let it happen, let it flow, let it be still and know. So, spend this day doing those 5 things. A kindness for yourself, one for somebody else. Listen to your intuition, your inner GPS, God protection system. Allow yourself to move through a fear that's been stopping you in your life. Be present and breathe. And remember, this can all go away tomorrow. So you stop struggling right now. You stop trying, and you just appreciate it all just as it is. Right here, right now. Your imperfect perfection. And smile at how beautiful your world really is. DeborahDachinger.com, DaChinger.com. Facebook, Dare to Dream Radio and TV. Twitter is Deb on the Radio. And YouTube, Deb on the Radio. Check out all my videos there. Dare to Dream and Dare to make all your dreams come true. Check out our amazing products on the Dare to Dream website, DeborahDachinger.com.